Yeah, this is what the contents of a full menstrual cup look like. Actual period blood. I don't do good theater. Sup unicorns, how you doing? I'm Amelia. Today we're talking about the things that annoy me about my period. Yep, that's happening. I don't know, maybe you'll get a few laughs, maybe you'll learn a thing or two. In any case, I think there is a huge taboo on talking about menstruation, and that is not a very good thing for the world, and the only way we are going to break through that is to collectively talk about it. I don't want to speak for anybody else's period experience, so I'll just, speak about mine. First things first, you're freakishly tall, it's weird, you look like a noodle. No, first things first, my period is as irregular as they come. I have the most irregular cycle of anybody in the universe, anywhere. I can't for the life of me put a number of days on my cycle. Like, some people have shorter cycles, some people have longer cycles. Some women can actually count 28 days and be sure that they'll have their period. They can just mark it off on their calendars for the rest of their fertile existence. Not my period. No, I get periods on average anywhere between every 35 and 45 days. Now, I say on average. What I really mean is that 35 to 45 days is really the minimum amount of time that it takes me to go from one to the other period. It's never shorter. And now you might say, wow, lucky you, that means fewer periods for you. That's a lot less hassle all the time. And I'd agree, if only I could actually roughly count 35 to 45 days, which is still a 10-day difference, but no, not even that. Sometimes my period tends to skip a month, or 2, or 3, occasionally 4. So, I really never know. I never know. I can go 4 months without a period. I've been to my doctor for that. If you have weird irregular shit going on with your period, see your doctor just to make sure that, nothing is amiss. But my physician told me as long as it's not longer than 6 months that they're staying away, it's not a big deal and not something to worry about. So I stopped worrying. In the medical sense. The consequence of this weird ass cycle I have going on is that I really never know when my period's gonna come through. I have 2 indicators, which is the second and the third thing that I hate about my period. So first of those 2 things are these 2. Can I just get a shout out for my nipples? Because anywhere between 1 and 2 weeks before my period's actually supposed to start, they start hurting like a motherfucker. It's like it's permanently freezing outside. That's how hard my nipples are all the time. There is not a bra in the world that will cover that up. There is not a shirt, not a collar, not a pattern on a shirt in the world that will cover that up. I have permanent bullets sticking out of my tits for 2 weeks before I get my period. That's annoying in and of itself. But also, it's extremely painful. I can't put on clothes without my boobs being ah! So that's a thing that happens. Second of those 2 things is my face. Now, I don't have the clearest skin to begin with, and also I am not as good about my skin routine as I should be with the crappy skin that I have. So some of that is probably my fault. I don't generally complain. I slap on a bit of makeup sometimes. Sometimes I don't, and I just really don't give a shit. My acne is not nearly as bad as some people's. It's just, no. But I have a problem area, which is right over here. This is always kind of filled with some bumps and red lumps and whatnot. And it just won't go away. But oh man, about around the same time that my tits start hurting like a motherfucker, my face breaks out, especially my chin and my cheeks. And they're just you know what? This little problem that you always have that is mildly annoying, but you powder away with some makeup. Let's make that a dozen times worse. Which also means that now I'm on camera with twice the amount of makeup on that I normally have, and I think you can still kind of see the spots come through, so that's annoying. Now you might be thinking, Ames, you said you had no indication whatsoever when your period's gonna start, but if your boobs start hurting and your face starts breaking out, you kind of have an indication about when your period's gonna start. I mean, at least you know if it stays away for 4 months and you don't feel anything, they're just not gonna come. And to that I say yes, true. My most of that time is worry-free because I know the symptoms of when I'm gonna start bleeding out of my vagina, but then again, those symptoms start a week, maybe 2 weeks beforehand. There's like no clear timing. Now normally that's not that much of a problem. It's not like when your period starts that you suddenly have like a bloody Niagara Falls going down between your legs. It starts gently. Maybe you go to the toilet and you wipe and you see like, oh, a little bit of pink, and you just kind of know like, okay, they're here. That's how it usually goes, so that's fine. Not this morning though. This morning I happily woke to the sound of chirping birds outside, crawled out of my bed, made my way to the bathroom, completely unaware of what was going on between my legs. That is until I almost reached the toilet and felt something trickle down my thigh, to which I looked, saw a red drop just gently rolling down my fat and cellulite, to which I then sighed and thought, ugh, right, period, because these have been hurting, my face has been breaking out. It's been 3 months, so it was about time. And then the thought of what my sheets would look like dawned on me, and also that maybe I didn't get from my bedroom to the bathroom entirely unscathed. Yeah. Overall, I can't really complain that much about my period. Granted, it's irregular. Yes, it's quite long. Yeah, the nipples really hurt to the extent that I can hardly manage to wear a bra. But overall, I don't really PMS. I don't really have a lot of mood swings. And most importantly, I'm most of the time not really in any sort of physical pain. Most of the time. Not this time though. No, this time I had to roll up in a fetal position and rock back and forth in my bed for an hour because I don't know, is it that my uterus was like, well girl, damn, it's been 3 months, there's a lot of filth in this bitch, let me just sort of, you know, up the contractions a little, kinda like when you're pushing out a baby. I mean, I don't know if it's that what she thought, but kind of felt like it. Now there are a couple of things you can do to sort of remedy the discomfort of the physical pain. There's always paracetamol. Aside from generic painkillers, you can also get a hot water bottle, take a bath or a shower, just anything that's warm, anything that keeps your uterus warm and fuzzy, your muscles as relaxed as they possibly can, all your openings as open as they can be, all the mucus and the blood inside of you just getting loose as much as it can, as easily as it can, to just gently droop out of there without too much of the... But if really all else fails, then... Ugh. But I think that after 17 years of bleeding out of my vagina, the best decision relating to my period that I've ever made, tampons? I threw those bitches out. I mean, it's not that tampons are that bad. I've used them without a problem for years. But then I found something that is way better. Hashtag definitely non-spon. Not spon. I don't have enough subscribers to make sponsored videos. I found a menstrual cup. Now there is a lot of different brands of menstrual cups, but I got the Freedom Cup. If it wasn't in my vagina right now, I'd show it to you, but unfortunately I need it. So there's that. Here's a picture. I specifically chose the Freedom Cup over any other brands because Freedom Cup, for every cup that they sell, they donate a cup to underprivileged women who otherwise don't really have easy access to feminine hygiene products. Now there's a bunch of advantages in using menstrual cups versus tampons. For one, you don't have a huge bunch of waste. There are no cotton wads drenched in your blood that you have to throw away, which will start because hold on. Period blood is sterile until it comes like out of your vagina and into contact with air, which happens when you use a tampon, and then it's in this cotton wad and it starts festering and these bacteria start doing their thing. So that's a lot less hygienic than using a cup which is airlocked kind of. It's vacuum until you take it out and pour it out. So the blood that's in there is sterile. It's not like making all kinds of crazy bacteria things go poof, which also means that the risk that tampons have for toxic shock syndrome aren't there when you're using a cup. So you also don't have the waste, and it doesn't start smelling, because the bad smell of period blood is just because all of these bacteria suddenly in contact with air start doing their thing, and that starts to stink. So you don't have to like throw that away. You sit in the toilet, you take it out, you pour it into the toilet, you flush, that's it. Also, your vagina will be a lot happier for it. There's no cotton wad up there sucking all the moisture out of it. Plus, you save a bunch of money because you buy this cup and it's pretty much good for like 10 to 15 years. And yeah, sure, it does take a couple of times to get used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's the easiest thing in the world. And last but very much not least, I'd like to share a thing that used to really bother me about my period, but man, it really doesn't anymore. I used to think that my period blood was gross. Every time I had my period, it was horrendous because I couldn't stand to look at it, be near it, having to touch it, which was a bit of a problem because this stuff comes out of your own body. You can't ignore it for the days that it's there. You'll have to deal with and interact with your period, and that's a lot less pleasant to do when you're under the false impression that period blood is gross. It's not. It's literally just sterile blood mixed with actually, you know, the same kind of thing that's on the lining of your cheek. That's really not a big deal. It took a while for me to learn that. I really had to be convinced of the fact that inherently there's nothing really dirty about period blood. I understand that if you're in general squeamish about blood, then we might have a problem. But if you're not inherently about blood in general, why would you be about blood when it comes out of a vagina? So then I also started thinking, like, what is this process? This is a miraculous thing that my body does. It's because I have the capacity to make babies. I don't want babies, but if I did, I could. That's a pretty cool thing. Also, how fucking badass is it? The vast majority of people on periods they power through. Sometimes they don't have the headaches and the cramps and the whatnot, so fine. But a lot of people do, and they just fucking power through. You can function with a headache. Why can't I function with a headache just because I'm on my period? Maybe you went to exercise and your abs are sore. Why can you function with sore muscles and I can't function with mild cramping? What is that about? I mean, in general, the vast majority of us just don't fucking bother. And even if we have negative side effects of our period, we just suck it up. We suck it up and we keep going, so you can keep all your memes with the chocolate craving women crying in a bucket of ice cream on the couch, not capable of functioning for an entire week. No. You know what I started doing once I got over the idea that period blood was gross and that I was a weakling for having one? Bitch, when I am on my period, I get into the bathroom and I have fun with that shit. I empty my cup, and before I throw it in the toilet, I dip my fingers into that, I draw warrior stripes on my face and pretend to be an Amazon who just won a war. I make like Xena with that shit. I don't do good Xena. In conclusion, am I annoyed by my period? Yeah, it's kind of a nuisance, but you know, while we're stuck with it, why be needlessly grossed out? Why not just have some fun? Look, I know this was probably weird for a lot of you. It's not every day that you see someone on camera with a glass with actual period blood in it. But I kind of hope that despite your society-induced discomfort with something that really is just very natural and not at all gross, you did have a laugh at this, maybe learned a thing or two. So if you have your own period stories or any questions or comments about this, leave it in the comment section below. Leave a like, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Over there are some other videos you can watch in case you're bored, which are probably less weird, but you know, despite the weird, I do love you. Stay magical. Bye.